You did it.
All right. Mike, thank you so much. We appreciate you. I know that you're busy like crazy. And so thank you, thank you, thank you. I don't know if you guys know on the line that, Mike and Levon Craig, I met them back in late 2009, December something, at a Firehouse Sub. And I can tell you guys that I didn't know them at all, but in another business that we were in. And because of them, I can tell you that we made a lot of money, money that we had never made before. I think we made 2.2 million or something. And compared to him, what they've made, that's nothing. But anyway, I give him the credit, that I've been able to help 23 people make a lot of money. But it's Mike, thank you. Okay, so I'm turning it over to you. And
My pleasure. My pleasure too. Thank you. And I apologize for being a couple minutes late here. Phones have been a little bit crazy. Literally was on the phone with Rod, the CEO of Shopley. So I said, Rod, I'm going to have to boot you because I'm jumping onto Tito's Zoom. So I'll have to call you later. So we're all good. And obviously, I think that this has basically been put together because I think a lot of you guys have had which a lot of people have had the questions or are going down the path of learning. All right, well, if I could, about vendors and what does that really mean, and having some of these questions, and I think I apologize. Probably should have done this even sooner than today. Although as a disclaimer into this. Nothing is exactly set in stone. There's some things that are set in stone, but the majority of things are still there's a lot of variables involved. Um, there isn't really anything at the moment, anyway. There will be soon that is like a tutorial or something that's like literally a document inside Shoply that covers all of these things. Will there be? Of course, yes, definitely. So I have gained a lot of the information just because I've been dealing with businesses for a long time, and this is not my first step into dealing with vendors in a e-commerce based space like this either. So I've got a little bit more background on not just with what that entails, but the relationship that we have with Shoply and the multiple conversations that I've had with Rod and other vendors that have been onboarding in the early stages. So I'll do the best that I can to. I probably won't know all of the answers to all the questions, but I think I'll be able to handle the majority of them to give you guys a better understanding of what direction to go with a vendor, what information is going to help you with that, and then get you to the handoff phase, which is basically to help what that vendor will feel confident and comfortable enough going down the path, clicking yes, I want to become a vendor, and then they really get into the weeds with their tech team because every vendor is different. Whether it's just everybody operates differently. Everyone operates with different systems on the back end whether they're dealing with different payment systems, logistics, everything's different. So we don't necessarily want to get too caught up in those things, but we do want to help them get to the point where they can say, okay, yes, I'm ready, and then we hand them off, if that makes sense. So I think it'd probably be best, Tito. We can handle this any which way. I don't know if it'd be better just as a kind of an open forum Q&A that everyone can learn from, or if you want to guide me or point me in a certain direction, I can certainly go that way. Oh, you're muted, Tito.
Thank you. Yes, sometimes less is more. I'm sure I have one or two people that like the details and all that, but it might confuse some folks all the way down, down the road. So I think what we're really looking for, and then you can address maybe some of the questions for the more detailed people. I know that what they're probably looking for is right now, it's not enough to say, Mr. Vendor, if I could lower your expenses, or if a company and increase your profits, would you be interested in, et cetera? Because it just opens up questions like, okay, well, how much per transaction? How much? So it's more that initial conversation that they can get them through without us sounding like babbling fools. And
Agreed.
then we can point them to our link that says vendor journey. That's really
Yes.
the now there's going to be people like Tom, I won't mention names, who are very detail intelligent, who have already put some vendors. So he's going to want to know about taxes a little bit, meaning who pays for the taxes, those things. But we can address those at the end. Back to you.
Yes. So, yes. And so I'll start here. Martin, give me 2 seconds. And then, so, and agreed. There's a lot of things that I'll take up until now. I will tell you that if not 98, not if not 100% of the vendors that you see on the platform now have come through. They have obviously 100% of them have come through an influencer pro, but they most likely either came through an influencer pro that had a very, very warm relationship, like this was my best friend, this was my brother, this was whatever, and that's why they're on this. That's why they're on the platform now, or they saw the opportunity that Shoply had to provide as an influencer pro, and then they also just had a company, and they said, "Well, shoot, why would I not put my company on there?" So there hasn't to this point been a focus on cold calling companies to jump on board Shoply yet. I'm not saying that that hasn't happened, but the likelihood, just like being successful in network marketing, a warm relationship is way better than any cold relationship because there's trust built prior to the conversation. And you know what? You don't have to be an expert with your brother or your brother-in-law or your best friend or your neighbor because they know that you're not an e-commerce vendor expert. So that being said, there are a couple key points, like Tito did mention. It's like, what do you say to even if it's a good close friend of yours? It's a lot of that language is transferable, which is, hey, if it's my neighbor, I know that you got a great product out there. How do you currently get your product to the market? I mean, some of these questions like this that you can ask them that they'll automatically say, oh, well, I do this or I do that. Or do you sell your product online? Do you have a website? I mean, some of these questions are kind of rhetorical because you already know if they don't have a website and they don't sell online, woo, they're like that's like the definition of mom and pop, like 30 years ago. So that being said, it's like, well, that's where you can say interesting. But here's where I want you to always dumb it down and keep it as simple as possible. And I'm gonna tell you a story why I believe this is so true. Whenever they get when they say, well, what do you do? It's like, well, I'm representing a new live e-commerce platform now that is basically my job is basically to bring good products and services on board because we're connecting good products and services with affiliates and influencers and people out there that are driving the market on the social side. And we're ramping them up and we're training them to be well versed on not just marketing to their network, but marketing the Shoply platform's products to that marketplace. And that's where you might come in if it made sense to you. So the reality is, are you open to creating a new channel of sales? Obviously you don't really pay anything for it unless people are selling stuff, really. But would you be open to a new channel? Every single one of them would say yes, absolutely 100%. And you can always ask them, "What do you currently sell on any other social marketplace platforms? Shopify? Do you shop on, or I'm sorry, do you sell on Shopify or Amazon or whatever?" And a lot of people do. And just so you know, you can tell them, no worries. I hope that's going well for you. I'd like to see what kind of sales you're doing. Um, but just so you know, we don't want to change what you're doing. We don't want to change anything. We don't want to take you away from those platforms, especially if they're doing well for you. Double down, do great on those things. We're just offering another platform that will reach a different demographic, a different group of people, in a different format, in a different way than some of the other marketplaces that are out there. So you're not exclusive to anybody at this point, and nor does Shoply hold you in any kind of exclusivity either. We just want to be another channel for you. So once that gets to that point, I mean I have not found one person yet that said no, I'm not interested, or at least finding more because all business owners want to sell more stuff. But what they do, going down to this path is where they, well, how does it cost? How much does it cost? Right. This is where the tough part comes in. It's not tough, but there's a couple things you do need to know. So how much does it cost me to become on the platform? And you can tell them, listen, as we're onboarding companies to the platform, just to let you know, we are still in beta. We're not full blown, although we started out in last August with no companies on our platform to over 120 now and over, over 1,000 different SKUs and products. So we're ramping up, moving quickly, and we can market globally if that's something you want us to do. The cost as a vendor, if depending on where you sell, is basically broken up into domestic vendor licenses for the platform. And just so you know, just language wise, licenses for a SaaS-based platform, a software as a service-based platform, is normal. And mostly everyone pays, if you're a company, some type of a licensing fee for a SaaS platform. That's kind of how SaaS platforms work. So it's not something we do, and we're trying to do something different. But the licensing fee for domestic for a physical based product, meaning if you're selling this book or you're selling something tangible, for domestic, it's going to be $999 one-time licensing fee. It's not an annual renewal thing; it's a one-time, and that's your license to leverage and utilize Shoply from here and forever. That you can upload and do anything you want. There's no extra charges for if you have 5 products or 500 products, it's all the same. And then there's a monthly reoccurring fee that you'll pay. It's a subscription fee for the upkeep of the platform and from here until ever, which will be for domestic is $79 a month. For international is 99. So, and the one-time licensing fee for international, if it's a physical based product, is $14.99 one time. Now, that all being said, and you can tell them this is where you knowing me comes into benefit for you, and this is what you would say to them. I've working with the company, and I'm an influencer pro, and I actually have, and most likely you guys do have, I have a token that I can offer, a discount token to reduce your licensing fee. For if it's domestic and you would normally pay $999, it reduces that to $99 with that token. So, but I'm only limited because I've only got right now, I may have one of those. So I have to be real selective on who I give that to. If just so you guys know, make a mental note. Let's say you give away that token, somebody onboards, and you find another vendor that wants to come on board. Until you get another token, vendors can always come on. They can come on all day long, but they'll have to come on for the full price at $9.99. Okay, so tokens are important. How do you get more of them is even better. We help that vendor become successful. This is great because and you can feel free to share some of this conversation with them just so they have a better understanding. Because as a vendor, I want to know that you're committed to helping me move my product. Because as a vendor, one thing I know for sure is it's a high probability that their sales will be lackluster if you don't have some type of a plan with your team and the vendor directly to work in concert to help move their product. It's a strategy. It's and I let them know up front because I want them to know, listen, this is important to me for a couple reasons. One, it's my name. I want to make sure that you guys have a good experience when you're on the Shoply platform and you make sales, because that's our whole goal. Because if you make sales, guess what? Everything wins. Everything works if you're successful. It starts with you. If it doesn't work, then nothing works, because all it does is creates frustration and and if your expectation is you're on this platform now and your sales are going to be through the roof and it doesn't happen, well, then I look bad. You're not happy, and the relationship went south. So now here's what the company says is when we onboard your company, that I have to work with you and work with the rest of the team and maybe even work through some of your contacts and some of your avid customers of your particular product, your particular brand, to create an affiliate group, an affiliate channel that drives a minimum of $1,500 in sales as fast as possible. How fast do you want to make $1,500 in sales, Mr. Vendor? Like within 2 hours. About that, right? They want it fast. Well, good, because I want it fast too. The reason why is because the company is going to offer me another discounted vendor token if I can help you get to that $1,500 quickly. So there's an incentive for me to do it because I want to help other people as well. And obviously, so now we're all tied together from a influencer pro perspective and a vendor perspective to help them become successful. So the other costs involved. So we got our costs down. So let me go to digital real quick. If you are like an ebook or a e-learning content provider based company, and it's all digital download, these types of things. That's what they call a e-commerce, or not e-commerce, but a e-learning based vendor. And that vendor's pricing is different, especially on it's the same on the domestic or international, but it's different on the cost on the discounts. So the discount, if you have the e-learning based vendor it's interested, it won't be $99 for them. With a token, it's $1. So it's practically free, right? So it's obviously we want as many. The reason why is because we can there's not a lot of heavy lifting when you're talking about a download, for sale. There's just not it's not a whole lot of heavy lifting there that goes into it. Plus, the company wants as many of those as possible because the majority of them, they're not there's no barriers for geography. And we want as many people in as many countries to be able to participate in the Shoply platform and help market their products. And with a digital download, you can do that without having to deal with logistics. So that's the reason why they went that direction. So outside of that, there is a transactional fee. So transactional fees happen. You want as many transactional fees as you can get because I mean, the more transactions that are happening means the more money you're making. So the good thing about the transaction fee is there is no transaction fee unless there's a transaction fee happening, meaning there's no fee charged to you unless there's the product. Outside of the licensing fee and the monthly subscription, there's no cost except for if that book sells or whatever the cell phone case sells or whatever you're selling. If there is a percentage based on categories. But the category cost, what I have seen, is anywhere between 10 to 15% is what I've seen so far on fees that the transaction will take. And that's about on par with a lot of the SaaS platforms that you'll see on transactions. So when I talk to a vendor, I tell them because they're gonna say, well, okay, so you mean I've got to pay this, I'm gonna pay that, I've got to pay this, and they say, yes, you to do this on this type of platform, yes, you do. Now, most people that have their products on other platforms won't be very surprised because they're already paying these kind of fees for whatever platform they're on right now. And I'll give you an example. So for companies that have their product on Amazon, and a lot of companies they're happy to be on Amazon, but they're frustrated because they feel like Amazon has them. Oh, they have them they have their hands tied because Amazon basically dictates what their sales look like based on how much advertising dollars that you as a vendor will spend with Amazon to get your product higher up. Basically, when somebody searches that particular product they're looking for, or I'm searching for a cell phone cover. And when you go on Amazon, you search cell phone covers, and then you see all these cell phone covers, right? But they're all like different providers or different people that actually are selling that particular cell phone cover. Well, the higher up that cell phone cover is, the more likely that you're going to purchase from the cell phone cover that is higher up on the search. Does that make sense? So how does that happen? Well, it's easy. You just pay more money. So so what's happening is a vendor, if they want their product to be sold, because as a vendor right now, if you don't pay advertising dollars to Amazon, your product will get lost in a sea of Amazon, and nobody will ever see it. So what they're doing is they're paying SaaS platform license fees. They're paying anywhere between when you factor in all the fees, because there's advertising fees, there's transaction fees, and then I think there's even some other fees involved in there somewhere else. But those when you factor those things out, they're going to range between 15 to 25%. So that whittles down the margin a lot, for somebody that's trying to especially a small business person that's trying to sell their stuff on Amazon. Doesn't mean that doesn't work. It means you got to sell a whole lot of them. So what we're trying to do is reduce some of that cost overall, right? So when Tito says, listen, if you'd like, if would you be interested, if we can help you get on board this platform, put together a plan, if we do this right and we work together at it, we should be able to increase your sales and reduce the cost of doing business by selling your products. And does that make sense? Going back to what Tito was saying. And because it's not looking at what we do with Shoply and how people sell on Shopify or Amazon. They're apples and oranges. They're two totally separate things, right? So that from a transactional fee, and like I said, I think what I'm seeing across the board right now, at the moment, with Shoply is a 10% transaction fee. So that's very specific. Obviously, I could go in multiple different directions here based on that information, but I'll tell you this though. So how Shoply operates is they don't unless the company wants to go down this path, they don't do logistics. Meaning, LaCour has the ability to do logistics for companies if they want to go down that path. It's not the first thing they say when a vendor comes on board. Hey, what we do is we qualify them up front. Listen, how do you sell that book, or how do you sell that cell phone case or whatever? How do you get that to the end consumer right now? They say, well, we ship it to them. Great, that stays the same. Nothing changes. But what happens is when you're in the Shoply ecosystem, everything happens inside Shoply. Meaning some people say, well, do I have to actually upload my stuff even if I have another store somewhere? Yes, because Shoply is its own contained ecosystem. And so when you upload your stuff into the Shoply storefront, you can basically take the same images, the same descriptions, or however you use on your website or any other shopping marketplace or whatever. You can use the same stuff. You just have to upload it all up to Shoply as well because it's contained in the Shoply market ecosystem. And it's all tied to LaCour's payment systems. And that's one of the reasons why they're able to save some money on for these vendors up front because LaCour is using LaCour's merchant systems, which I forgot to mention, when you're using Amazon, they charge you merchant fees as well over there, which are up and because they can, they'll make a ton on it. So what the transaction fee, the 10% that we was just talking about, that includes the merchant fee. And merchant fees on an average are between 2 and 3%. 2 on the very low end, maybe even 3.5% merchant fees. So that's absorbed in the 10% transaction fee. Good for you guys to know that. So what happens is Shoply actually takes all the income, they take all the money, and then they work directly. Now I'm bridging over a little bit beyond the discussions that I would have. I'll just touch on it. So Shoply takes all the income in, so you don't have to have your own merchant provider. They do it all for you. And then they connect basically to you, where you as a vendor can literally go in to your dashboard and look at your sales live. So you can go check your sales on your dashboard, 3, 4, 5, 6 times a day if you'd like to check and see what your sales are. And then they're all posted, who sold it. You can download CSV files if you want to do it your way, or you have a particular way that you like to take that information and convert it to a file that you use for logistics to help your product get shipped out. Those types of things could be worked out based on how you do those things. And then what you do is the Shoply actually has a payment wallet, basically, just like you guys as influencer pros have a payment wallet. Vendors have the same type of payment wallet. So they set up their payment wallet just the way we have our own wallet set up. And just like we can, if we go in and see that there's money in our wallet, we can click transfer, and that money goes directly into our bank account. the vendor does the exact same thing. So they can transfer their money back and forth as much as they'd like. If there's no money in there, obviously there's no transferring. But anytime there's a transaction done, Shoply handles it on their end. There's transparency to the vendor. The vendor can check their information real time, and they can take their. Earlier, I was like, well, who pays taxes? They all pay taxes based on state and all those types of things that are already factored. That happens in the shipping. They all pay that. That all happens through Shoply. It's all transferred over and absorbed based on what you decide as a company and a vendor, what you want to charge for shipping. So that's all done at the vendor side when they're setting up their storefront based on what their shipping costs are. Because basically what they're doing is they're setting it up, telling Shoply what to charge. And then Shoply has all this stuff created. Okay. And then so I hope that helps a little bit there. But I'm going to leave it at that for you guys to help me go in the direction you want to go. Oh, Tito, you're muted.
Okay. I'm sure people are going to have their question. Mine's going to be
Yeah.
very quickly. First of all, I want to tell the group that whenever I get on these calls, there's so much information to digest that sometimes you get more confused than anything else. You become nebulous in your mind. In other words, you have a overview understanding now, but as far as working knowledge, you go, I don't remember a lot of this. So I have a tendency to baby people. Even as a grandfather, I baby my grandkids, okay? Which is not good sometimes. So I'm going to document all this stuff so you guys have it in your hand, okay? Just like I did with last Monday with the speaker. What's his face? You know,
Oh yes.
yeah, I got to send it to you, Mike, because I got all the details, all of it. My
Oh,
major
that's
is in
fair.
psychology, so I understand everything that he said.
Joseph.
So
Yeah,
anyway,
he's awesome. Love
he
him.
really was. But I have one quick question.
Yes.
Can I know you talked about the fees and all that. Uh, Now, when we save them money, I guess you covered it already because you talked about the 10%. So let me open it up because I know Martin has a question and sort of other people. Go ahead, Martin.
Yes.
Okay, Mike, you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you, buddy.
I have not been down the vendor journey on the phone.
Yes.
Would it be helpful to me to do that, first of all? And number two, once I send a potential vendor down that vendor journey, when he gets to the end of it, where does he need to go from there? Does he have enough information? Um,
Yes. Good question. So right now, the vendor journey is a very short one.
okay,
Okay.
all right.
So the reason I say that the intention was when we put the vendor journey there, there would be enough data and everything for us based on our systems and how we operate and all of the stuff for us to have two or three different videos that explain, very similar to our influencer journey, where you learn a little bit, you educate yourself before you make that decision. The intention was to have that based on a filter from a vendor's perspective. It's just not there yet. They don't have the videos done yet. They will have them done. That's their intention still, is to have that plus like a frequently asked questions and those types of things where they can funnel down to the bottom to make that decision enough to say, you know what, this makes sense. I want to take that step further. And then what it'll do is it'll basically take them to a purchase page. And what it'll say is, do you want to be an international or domestic vendor? Here's the prices, and the prices are full prices, $14.99 or $9.99. But then there's a place for discount code. Enter discount code, and that's where your token code goes in. So you'd have to give that to
Okay.
them. Yep, you have to give that to them in order to for them to get the discount. And then once they purchase it and the purchase is complete, then it takes them through a back end, meaning here's how you log into your vendor dashboard. And then there's information on how to upload your photos, how to upload this and operate the vendor dashboard. So and I've been in the vendor dashboard multiple times with other companies, and it's great. I really do, and there's a lot of functionality to it. Um, so if they've ever run an online store before, this won't be foreign to them. So that's
Okay.
good though. Good question.
Is there anything um, that I need to know other than what you've just said, or is there somebody in the corporate office that we connect them to, or do they do
Nope.
all that online?
It's all done online. Yep, you don't have to. Yeah, I mean everything is done, and they even have they'll have a contact where if they have questions, they'll have there's a vendor contact for emails to go back and forth to that vendor if they have questions because and they will because like I said, every company's different, every vendor's different, everyone's got different variables on how they operate and how they do business, so they'll be able to communicate back and forth on that.
So somebody in corporate gets that email and they go back and forth.
Yep,
Good. Okay.
absolutely.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
our job is to be as much hands off as possible.
Right.
Yeah.
Mike, there's other people that have questions. One of them was whether you were willing to take them screen by screen, but you sort of did that. And not only that, but when I release the notes, guys, you guys will have that. I don't want to keep Mike on for the little details and stuff because we can definitely. I'll get that to you. Uh,
Tito,
yes.
this is Sandra. That was my question, I think. I don't mean on this particular call. I mean, is there a way that, I mean, Stephanie, I think no, it's Stacy. She's like totally talented with the computer and everything. And the way that we used to train our site when I was doing the clinical trials, we would literally take them through each screen of the computer so they could see what it looked like. Not that we need to share that with the vendors. They can go through that on their own. But like I've got two really good friends and they're they're hesitant to get into it, and I'm like, well crap, I don't want to give them my one token and blow it until. And thank you, Mike, for taking the time to do this, because I think
Sure.
Tito pulled you into this because I had too many questions.
Oh, it's great. No, I'm glad you guys have questions.
But if somebody at corporate could make screenshots of what the vendor process looked like online,
Hmm.
and then we as influencer pros could actually see what that looked like.
Right.
So A, we're more confident, and B, there's got to be questions that just seeing those screenshots of the vendor journey that they go through online, there's got to be questions that we all have that are going to be answered when we see that. That's all for
Correct.
me.
No, you're right. You're correct. I think we're just a little premature, and the fact that everything's ever there's like everything's constantly changing right now. So with my point would be we can do screenshots of what it looks like right now, but it doesn't mean that's what it's going to look like tomorrow because what we do today could be irrelevant, or tomorrow could be irrelevant from what we did yesterday. Until they have, okay, we're 98%. This is like the model. This is how it works for everybody moving forward, always, all the time. Then I think that would be a really, really good idea. For you, I think just for anything else for you guys to see and for you guys to have. Um, at the
But
same
we
time,
all know that we're in beta, and we all
yeah,
know that change is happening on an hourly basis with this company. And we wouldn't be on these phone calls and we wouldn't be trusting you guys if we didn't really realize that, hey, you know what we tell you on this little snapshot,
yeah.
it may be different next week. So don't share this with your vendors and don't come jump down our throats when something's different or we tell you something's different. That's all I'm getting at. Is
Yes.
you understand?
I
Thank
do.
you.
100%. And so, no, and noted. And there's some really good stuff there. And I think there may be some things I'm going to look at. Stacy would be the one that would probably have any of the information that would be even similar to what you're talking about. If it's available, Stacy will probably have that. So Tito, we'll have to ask her, and see what she does have in regards to that. Here's the other thing too, just so you guys know, and I just found this out 2 weeks ago, is that um, they are now obviously they were doing the vendor spotlights on Thursdays, but now they're doing but they're also doing a vendor like a vendor call just for vendors, that is really great. and it's an education tool for Shoply to communicate to the vendors alone. It's not for us, but just to the vendors. And it's really great. The reason I say that is because I jumped on there because I wanted to hear it. I wanted to know what was going through because I kind of have an idea of what the process looks like. And I was like, oh, this is wonderful. To the point where I feel confident and comfortable enough when I get a vendor on board. The first thing I'm going to do, obviously, once they go in there and they start playing around on their dashboard, I'm going to say, jump on your weekly vendor call every week at Wednesday, or whoever's in charge of your marketplace, your storefront on Shoply. Make sure that you're mandating that they're on that call every Wednesday or whichever day it is. That those vendors have those calls because it's invaluable. The information, the training, education that you're going to get on that. So that will make it to the point where you don't feel like you have to take too much of the brunt of understanding and knowing everything when it comes to through the eyes of a vendor, especially if you're not one, because all that energy and effort and time that you'll input into having to be that person takes you away from all of the things that make you money over here. And we don't want you to spend your time doing those kind of things, especially when we know that we have things in place to help those vendors stay in their lane, so to speak, and so they can be more profitable.
Yes. Very good. Mike, here's another question from Darren. He says, I'm thinking it would be very helpful if corporate or team leaders might have an email template for customizing to send to our potential vendors. If I can comment, and maybe you can comment, and please correct me if I'm wrong, Mike. There is, and speaking also to everybody, I guess, we have a responsibility. In other words, you look at Mike, okay? Mike has had to figure out his whole back office because he doesn't have anybody really to go to, just him. He's had to break the system to go ahead and figure it out. To a certain extent, we're independent, what do you call it, influencers, okay? So therefore, since we're independent, it falls on us to sort of learn a lot of things. Now, is that fair? No. So that's why the corporation is giving us all this information. But so when I release, that's why we asked Mike to get on, and we appreciate it. That's why I'm going to release those notes, because even the procedures that I've released in the past, some of them are outdated. I noticed that, and so Sandra, and I've had to re-release some of those, So, but we're going to make sure that we all understand what we're doing. Just don't be shy about asking questions like you guys do.
Good feedback. And also, Darren, and for everyone else, it's a good question. And Tito's response was spot on. Although I only would add this. This is a unique scenario. And we're all in a very, very unique scenario, every one of us as individuals, because how we approach what it is that we do and who we are inside this ecosystem. And so sometimes for me, and I say this out loud because it helps me think about and put myself in the right frame of mind, because I always look at the situation that we're in as, all right, I love having all you guys around me, by the way, and this is awesome. But if I'm a true entrepreneur and I'm building something from the ground up, you guys wouldn't even be here. You wouldn't have any interest in being here because it just the rest of the world don't quite operate like that. So it's like I have to think about, all right, well, I don't have anybody to ask the question to. So what would I do if I'm a true entrepreneurship and I'm going down this path and I'm kind of investing all this time and this effort and all the things that I want to do? If I feel like I'm not well equipped to do this, or be a salesman to go find vendors to bring on board, man, I'm just being transparent. I don't know if I would have picked this. If that wasn't my lane, I wasn't like super comfortable in going down that path, I might pick another part of Shoply. I might say, well, let me find something that's more down my comfort zone or where I feel best suited for. Because like I said, at the end of the day, I like Shoply because it gives you as an individual an opportunity to be a true entrepreneur, to not follow orders and take instruction necessarily, because I think that's like almost the antithesis of being an entrepreneur. An entrepreneur likes to break stuff and figure stuff out and try stuff and fail and figure the stuff out, because there's no right or wrong. There's no right or wrong thing to say. It's what works for you. Because everyone on this Zoom is very unique from every other person on this Zoom. And your relationships are going to play a major role in how successful you are. And it's either the relationships that you have directly with people that want to be part of the ecosystem as an influencer or a vendor or an affiliate. It's your relationship. So what makes you unique? What makes who you are, your relationship with them, and how you communicate, because they know you, um, is something you're gonna have to kind of figure out. It's like it's your own special, unique thing, and so it's like I know this is it's kind of a tough thing, but at the end of the day, that's why I love Shoply so much, because I don't personally anyway. I don't want somebody to tell me you need to use my words,
Yeah.
because I feel uncomfortable doing that. It's like I can't use your words because they're not mine, and they don't come off authentic. And so hopefully some of the things that we're talking about today, you can take and say, okay, I like that point. They don't really get that one, but I don't like that one, but I like this one and that one. And then I'm going to kind of wrap my own brain, what I feel inside about this, and I'm going to create what I want to create because it makes sense to me, and I have conviction behind those words. Because I can tell you this stuff all day long because I'm convicted, but that doesn't mean that because I have conviction, you're going to have conviction behind that message to a new vendor or whoever. That's going to have to come from you.
Mike, I would like the springboard of what you just said because I think it's important not to hear my own voice. Folks, I'm gonna admit something to you guys. I have average intelligence. I don't have a high IQ. I really don't. Matter of fact, at university, I was always like the second to the last, if not the last guy taking an exam. But here's where I was above average of people. I remember everything. I can go back to what do you call it? Elementary school and remember who invented the cotton gin. Eli Whitney. Most people forgot all that junk. I remember it. So I take notes. That's why I give you guys notes, because I can't repeat everything Mike just said. I can't. I'm taking notes, but no, later I'm going to re-listen to a recording on my phone and listen to every bit of it and then document it. Then I have it so that I don't bug Mike. So a true entrepreneur, like you were saying, Mike, it's funny because you and I have learned things after so many decades as an entrepreneur. Some of it is we don't know how to say, I'll try. There's no such thing as I'll try. It's either I won't be there or count on me, I'll be there. We learned to do the thing. Second thing we've learned, we don't quit. I don't like a lot of this detail. I can't stand it. Matter of fact, even the social commerce and stuff, I've been doing it, but that's not my strength. But you know what? Do it anyway. So you and I have learned as entrepreneurs those skills, those what do you call it? Tools that says do it anyway. Yeah, but I don't want to do it anyway. I went to work out today. The water was freaking cold, and people were thinking I just jumped in there. Do it anyway. So that's what an entrepreneur. So if you guys think maybe this isn't for me, don't do that. It is for you because you can pick your lane, like Mike said. Back to you, Mike.
No, I appreciate that. So, yeah. So I think too, this is going kind of bigger picture and not specific to the conversation at hand with vendors, but try to find something, you guys, that ties whatever you're doing on a daily basis, and what ties you and brings you closer to the Shoply conversation and what you're doing. Don't make it about Shoply and about a platform, about this thing out there. It's about you and what it means for you inside. Because I look at Shoply not as a company that you guys are all involved in. I look at Shoply as my company. I'm leveraging what it is that I love and what I do, and I'm trying to tie a passion to this, but then I'm utilizing and leveraging Shoply to do all the crap that I don't want to do. So I'm not taking orders from Shoply. Shoply takes orders from me. Does that make sense? Shoply is a tool for me to help my vision come true. And that's how I want you guys to start thinking about this, because Shoply is it's like a cog in the chain. It's like, I look at it as if you've got you got a great product, or you got a great message, you got a great whatever, it has to be delivered somehow. Shoply just happens to be the engine that I subscribe to get whatever it is that I need to get done, and that is like that's a bolt on to my my company as an entrepreneur. So be thinking about it like that and take that kind of posture too. You guys don't work for Shopley, and Shopley's not, they're not designed that way.
But
No.
Mike, Tom has a question, so go
Yes.
ahead, Tom.
It's not going to work.
Go
Hey,
ahead.
Tom, somebody.
Hey, Mike.
Hey, man.
Sorry, we got some feedback because Olivia's on the phone too.
Oh, good.
So Olivia and I have, got 2 vendors signed up, and it was an arduous process to go through it, which I appreciate. Everything's in beta and they understand it. But I have a couple of quick questions for you. First of all, Nick mentioned the other night that he was putting together some sort of vendor video, which I think Sandra also mentioned, and maybe Martin mentioned that would really be helpful, so that if he can work on that. The second thing is, I asked this question about taxes because one of them is shipping products directly from China to consumers in the US. So they had a question about the taxes. So the invoice to the consumer comes from Shopley, correct? If I buy something as a consumer, the invoice comes, Shopley collects the money, including the shipping, including the taxes. And then from the vendor standpoint, do they get that tax money back because they have to pay the state or whatever? Or how does that?
Yeah, the vendor, to my understanding, the vendor handles it just the way they handle it right now. So if the vendor right now is working through a payment system, because they look at Shopley as just another payment system. So it's a
Okay.
pass through. So Shopley does the invoice, right? And they get but then it goes over and it's a pass through directly to the minus the transaction fee, right?
Right.
So and then that money goes directly to the vendor and then that vendor pays taxes like they would pay on anything else they sell.
Okay.
Yep.
I'll explain that to them. And then second thing is on the shipping, does the vendor determine the shipping cost? Does Shopley make any money in that, or is that just
No.
another pass through?
Pass through. It's totally up to the vendor on how they do it. And there's multiple ways in the dashboard where you can set up certain rules for your own shipping. So however you do shipping right now, if you say, well, I know with this product based on what I do and how I sell it, and it goes in this box and it fits this dimension, and I know it weighs this much, and I know it cost me $9, I'm going to charge $9 for this. Now there are companies that will charge more, right? Because this is like, and for some companies, it's like strategy. It's okay. Well, I'm gonna make money on shipping. We can't tell them not to do that, but we
Right.
encourage. Me personally, I always encourage them, man, go bare bones on shipping as much as you possibly can. But it's totally up to the vendor. So
Okay.
that's not dictated by Shopify.
Okay. And then I think you mentioned that the payment wallet, I understand that. This has been very helpful. I appreciate you doing this today. And Kathy, by the way,
Hey,
in the
man, I'm glad.
Kathy in customer service has been very helpful in answering most of these questions for me.
Awesome.
One last thing I'll say on shipping is that as a customer, so when I order from Shopley, there's products that I order that come from the same vendor.
Mm-hmm.
And in one case, it was $15 shipping fee. Well, I ordered 2 things at 2 different times and got charged $30 for shipping. So I would just make everyone aware that if you're going to order something from the same vendor,
Yeah, so there is some, and I think some of this stuff comes up in the vendor training, the Shopley, because these are, and I'm glad you brought that up because in the dashboard it even says, listen, on order 1, if it's $9 for shipping, if there's another order or there's maybe a line item number 2 that so there's a 2 instead of one of this product, there's 2 of them on the same invoice or whatever. Well, then it's not $9; it's an extra $3. Or it really kind of scales based on what the vendor types in. So we've got to make sure that we're educating the vendors to look through all these things because you're right. It's like, and as a customer, I feel like I got ripped off. And it's not a Shopley thing. It's a vendor thing. So so the vendors you see out there that are currently selling their products on other platforms have it dialed in because they've already run in through this stuff before. But there's a lot of vendors that are onboarding now that have never done this before. So we do have to make sure that they're educated enough to not fall through those little pitfalls in the process.
And I would agree with Sandra that if we could see the inside behind the curtain on the vendor piece or attend this vendor thing like you did, it would be so helpful because they ask questions and I have to say, I'll get back to you. Then I send Kathy something. If I saw the paperwork they're trying to fill out, it would be a lot easier for me to anticipate.
So here's where the story I want to tell you guys. This is a quick one. Doesn't answer everything, but at least puts us in the right frame of mind. Because a lot of times the people that have the majority of those types of questions, they're just apprehensive because they've never done something like this before, which is totally okay. But we do have to understand that this is not new. What we're doing is not new. I mean, Amazon's been doing it for years. I mean, what we're doing is not new. We're not making it up and those types of things, right? So I'll tell you a funny story because it was a story Nick told us. So he was talking to I don't know if he's mentioned this or not. But instead of saying names, he was talking to and actually I'm looking at about 10 of his books right now, to an author that is everyone on this phone knows who he is. And he wants to bring him on as a vendor and to sell all of his stuff. And he said, "This sounds great. I think this really is good, but let me get you with all my people." I mean, his people mean the guys that handle how this works and what does this
Yeah.
look like and all the stuff, all the technical stuff. So he puts Nick on the phone with 3 or 4 of his technical people on how this works. And they just start going down this technical, babble to some degree with Nick. And Nick, I love him sometimes. He's just like, listen, whoa, 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 whoa. He said, "These guys, you're making this too damn difficult. We're not doing anything new. Do you want us to sell your crap or not?" That's what he said. "Do you want to sell more of your junk or do you not?" And they said, "Oh," he says, we're building a sales force that's designed to literally sell your crap. Do you want to sell more stuff?" And they're like, "Oh, yeah, 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 yeah." All right, well, good. Let's go through the process and let's get it done because all these questions, although valid, will be answered through the onboarding process because every company is different and they all have their own little ways they like to do certain things and how reporting works and how this works. So when it gets to that point, you can say, "Guys, rest assured, this is not something new. This is not a new idea. The idea of getting onto the platform and selling your stuff is not uncommon. If you want to sell more stuff, go through the process, type in my code, get on for $1 or 99 bucks, go through the process, and let's get your start going through the technical side. It can only happen after you decide you want to be a vendor."
I feel like
Uh,
they have to be in the same mindset that we are. You want to go after the warm relationship vendor because they're going to be the ones that have the entrepreneurial mindset to know that this is a very beginning stage. Take a leap of faith. If they want to know all the technical stuff and dollar for dollar, it's not their time.
No, yeah, you're right. Well, and here's the thing too, Jonathan, is that I think that I'm so glad you said that because I didn't really think about this, but every time I'm reminded of it, I'm like, oh my gosh, why don't I talk about this more often? So when you talk about the value proposition, even though we're brand new, but we do things differently. So we may not be, some 20-year-old company that's got, a million SKUs on we're doing all this stuff worldwide. But we do things differently than they do. Meaning we're literally training up a sales force of people that have, I don't know, let's say on an average, 500 to 1,500 followers on social media, maybe. Right? So that's fair. It's kind of fair. 500 to 1,500. And there's thousands of them, over 10,000 of them out there globally right now. So, and what they're doing is for every vendor that's coming on board right now, they are currently, when they're trying to sell their product, they are paying advertising dollars. They're paying it to Google ads, pay-per-click, Facebook ads. They're paying all this stuff out there. And it's like that money goes into the ether because you don't know if it's working or not. I mean, you just don't know. I mean, it's hopefully it's advertising. It's hoping that you get more eyeballs. And this stuff's not cheap. It's just not. And rarely is there a really good predictable return of investment on those types of things. So when I look at this, I'm thinking to myself, wait a second. If I'm a company and I don't do much sales and I'm a little apprehensive because I don't really know how this is going to work, at the worst case, what I do know is going to work, if I put my book out there or I put my cell phone thing out there or I do whatever I do, I know without almost guaranteed what will happen is because we're training it. as influencer pros, we're training everybody to go out there and say, "Oh my God," whether I bought this or not, right? "Oh my God, have you seen this new iPhone thing I just got for my phone? This protective case, this is so awesome!" And I click a link from the Shopee store and I put it on my Facebook group or whatever, and I get 1,000 people to see it. That alone, I'm one person. That alone would have cost me a lot of money to pay a Facebook or Google or whoever just for me to go do that. Now you do that times 10,000 people or 5,000 people or eventually 100,000 plus people. That's advertising. And whether they buy something, they don't buy something, it was potentially hundreds of thousands and potentially millions of impressions that are driving the name of your product, that are driving more, and it's like that alone could be the reason why someone jumps on the platform, whether they sell something or they don't. The amount of money
Yeah.
and value they get is unbelievable.
That's warm advertising, not just, shooting it
Yes.
out there in, as you said, to the ethos. Because when we're sending it to our friends and family and, acquaintances, those are
Yes.
warm contacts. So they already sort of know where our mindsets are and whatnot. Which is a great point. Great point.
So it's good stuff. It's good stuff for you to know because this is different. This is one of the major differentiators of who we are and what we do versus anybody else out there. So when you're talking about a true value proposition for a vendor, you can say regardless of obviously we're going to get sales because that's our strategy. But how much you paying if you're doing any kind of online selling right now? How much you paying in advertising to get eyeballs to do that? Now, what if what it would cost for you to pay 500 influencers to take a picture of your thing and send their followers to your page? How much would it cost for you to pay 500 people to do that? Oh my God, you would go out of business. It's like the value is overwhelming of what that would cost to do. I mean, some people pay certain people thousands of dollars to make two posts. Two posts. And you pay me $5,000 and I'll grace you with my post, you know? So just know there's real true value there. Anyway, I do, guys, I have to, I'm bouncing into my 3 o'clock call. I don't mind doing this again some other time as we kind of move forward and we can just kind of talk about stuff and whatever. So I'm totally open to it.
Mike, thank you very much. Folks, I have just 1 minute that I want to say right now, but you can go ahead and go, Mike. We can't thank you enough. Thank you, buddy. Okay,
Appreciate you
appreciate you a lot.
guys. Look forward to seeing you soon. Okay. Take care.
Thank you. Take
Tito.
care. Hey guys, what I wanted to tell you guys something is, Tom, if I can address you, I've been doing this thing 40 years, and I admitted that that I have average intelligence. Well, we all have different gifts. My gifts is not in the IQ. I have way above skills than most people when it comes to my people skills, when it comes to other skills that I have. But the one thing that I'm very aware of is that even in resumes in the corporate world, type A people, bottom line people that just do on bottom line are usually the minority in the corporate world. However, not in the corporate world, excuse me, in on earth, they're somewhat the minority. But in leadership positions, I can tell you right now that Nick Sarnicola, type A, bottom line, they just want bottom, they're not going to give you details. Mike Craig, believe it or not, is bottom line. You guys never met another person that was huge that's still around. Kyle Passetti, bottom line. The leaders that I've had, Alan James, bottom line. Billy Snow, bottom line people. They're not detailed. And so they react like, you guys want to sell crap or don't? I mean, that's how the way they react. But us people, now I'm one of those people, but I'm on the softer side. Now, the detail competent people like my dad, who had a calculus, master's degree in calculus physics, people like you, Tom, who are very intelligent, etc. My wife was a detail, etc. You have the opposite problem. You guys are intelligent and you detail and you document that sometimes you got to hold back and not give all the detail and everything else because you will bore the Mike Craigs and the Kyle Passettis and Nick Sarnicolas, that they'll stop you. I've had Nick Sarnicolas said, dude, I need you to get on stage, give him your background. You have 30 seconds. And he meant 30 seconds. He didn't mean 45 seconds. So I had to get up there. Guys, Tito Allen in a corporate world all my life. Boom. That's how it is. And so I say that to you guys because all of us have different personalities. The happy-go-lucky people would drive us nuts. They're the social skills, they laugh. Their favorite word is fun, and I've had people that are that type. Let me see, Martin, think of Tim Sachs, who's no longer alive, in a major function. He was handling all of the speakers and everything else, and the music was blaring, blah, blah, because he's having fun, like my grandson, And Nick says, "Hey, can you go tell him to lower that thing?" So I went in the back and I said, "Hey, Tim, you need to lower this." He put it even louder just for fun. He yanked it up louder. He goes, and he's laughing. And I almost socked him. I said, "Cut it out," And then Nick went back and said, "Well, what happened?" But see, they don't, I'm just trying to tell you that we're in a people business. So we have to be so careful, how we assess our vendors too. We're going to have vendors that are detailed people. We're going to have vendors that are going to be bottom line. Yeah, just give me the link and I'll figure it out. And you'll go, yeah, but let me tell you, but no. Give me the link. I'll figure it out. We're going to have some of those. Yet we're going to have others that are going to want the information because they want to take control. Like in your case, you're a professional, Tom, and you want to make sure that you're totally ready, But I'm guilty of when I'm contacting people, I'll tell them, 30 seconds something, and then they ask questions. No, it's in the link. Yeah, but no, it's in the link. Look, trust me, get in the link. It'll give it to you. We almost come across bossy, but that's, so I just wanted to mention that for all of you, that we're all different personalities. That's all. Folks, thank you so much. I can't thank you enough for getting on the line. I know it was a 2 o'clock, 2 to 3 right now. And it was not the best time for a lot of you. Some of you are actually at work. And so I thank you so much. Okay, I'm going to document this. I'm not going to do it right now. So you guys will receive detail in the next 2 days. I might even have it ready for tomorrow morning, but just know that you'll have all this information. And I'm going to give it to you in a format that if you're a type A person like me, that you don't want all this information. I really don't. I'm afraid that if I was to try to teach this to a new person, I might blow them out. They may go, no, this is too much for me. But at the same time, I might have somebody who is the detail competent, like my wife, like my dad, etc., who's going to want the information. So therefore, I'm going to give it to you anyway. So I'm going to give it to you in that kind of format that you can probably, in a 60-second, 90-second conversation with a vendor, the vendor say, yeah, I'm interested. Give me the link, And then if you want to add more information, then you'll see the notes, lower. Okay. All right, folks. Thank you.
Thanks,
This call
Tito.
is officially over, guy. Oh, go ahead. Take care.
I said thanks.
Thank you.